A CFO I respect called me late last quarter, 20 years in the role, disciplined operator. The kind of executive who builds his own variance reports because he does not trust other people's. His company had rolled out AI across 3 departments. Customer service was using it to draft replies. Marketing was using it to write first drafts. Finance was using it to summarize month-end results before partner meetings. The rollout had gone well. Adoption was strong. Employees were happy. The vendors his team had chosen were reputable. And on paper, everything looked like a win. Then his board chair asked him a question, a simple one. He wanted to know whether the AI was actually working, not whether people were using it, whether it was producing measurable value for the business. The CFO sat in his chair, looked across the desk at the chair of his board, and realized he did not have an answer. He had usage statistics, he had cost data, he had positive employee feedback, he had vendor dashboards. What he did not have was a way to say, with evidence, whether AI was helping the company or quietly hurting it. He told me later that the silence in that meeting lasted 3 seconds. It felt like 30. That CFO is not the exception. He is the rule. If you are an owner or an executive, the question you should be asking yourself right now is not whether your business is using AI. It already is. The question is whether you can prove what it is producing. Today, I am going to walk you through the framework most disciplined operators are missing. The one that lets a leadership team measure whether AI is performing inside their business before they spend another dollar widening a problem they have not measured. A note on format before we go further. The script you are about to hear was written by Stephen R. Jordan, founder of SRJ Consulting and Services. I am Elizabeth, an AI presenter delivering it. That is a deliberate operational choice, not a shortcut. The book you are about to hear about argues that AI works when it is run with structure and accountability. This video is one example of that discipline in practice. The book is called the AI Readiness Performance Assessment. It is Volume 2 in a 6-book series called The Operating Discipline for AI. Volume 1 of that series, the AI Business Enablement Audit, gives leadership the visibility to see what AI is operating inside the business. This book, Volume 2, picks up where that left off. It is not about visibility. It is about performance. It is the structured discipline that tells you whether the AI you can now see is actually working. It is not a technology book. Stephen is very clear about this on page 1. It is a management book about a technology, written for the executive who is tired of guessing. Here is who this is for. If you are an owner, a president, a CFO, a COO, or an operating partner at a business somewhere between 20 and 1,000 employees, this book was written for you. It is also useful for larger organizations whose AI work is still happening at the function or division level. It assumes you are smart, busy, financially literate, and uninterested in being talked down to. It does not assume you have any background in AI. I am going to take you through 6 things. First, the difference between adoption and performance. Second, the 6 readiness conditions. Third, the scoring system. Fourth, the decision protocol. Fifth, a real comparison of 2 businesses. And sixth, what changes inside your company when the discipline is running. Let me start with the most expensive misconception in business AI right now. Adoption is not performance. When leadership sees that employees are using AI, that vendors have switched it on, that subscriptions are active and dashboards are populated, the natural conclusion is that AI is working. The tools are in use. The behavior change happened. Whatever the business was trying to do with AI, it appears to be doing it. That conclusion is almost always wrong. Adoption tells you the tool is present. Performance tells you the tool is producing. Those are not the same thing. A customer service team that drafts replies in AI is adopting AI. Whether the AI is actually reducing response time, improving customer satisfaction, or freeing up agent capacity for higher value work is a separate question, one that almost no leadership team has the discipline to answer. A finance team that summarizes month-end results with AI is adopting AI, whether the summaries are accurate, whether the partners are catching errors the AI introduces, whether the time saved is being eaten back up by review and correction. Those are performance questions, and they go unmeasured in most businesses. Here is the pattern Stephen sees over and over in his consulting work. A leadership team rolls out AI. The first quarter looks great. Usage is up, satisfaction is up, the team is excited. Then by the second or third quarter, the picture gets murkier. Productivity gains have not shown up in the financials the way they were supposed to. Error rates in client-facing work have crept up in ways nobody can quite explain. Review burden on supervisors has gone up, and nobody can say, with evidence, whether the company is ahead, even, or behind. That is the gap between adoption and performance, and it is where most of the money quietly leaks out. Here is the test Stephen gives every executive he meets. There are 4 questions every leader should be able to answer about AI inside their company. What workflows is the AI actually supporting, and are those workflows ready for it? What data is the AI relying on, and is that data reliable? Who owns the output the AI produces, and what review standard does that output meet? What is the AI producing in measurable business terms, and how do we know? If you can answer those 4 questions today with evidence rather than estimates, you do not need this book. In Stephen's consulting work, fewer than 1 in 10 leadership teams can. That gap between what leadership believes AI is doing and what AI is actually producing is the central premise of this book. So how does a non-technical leadership team measure whether AI is actually working? Stephen's answer is a structured framework called the AI Readiness and Performance Assessment. It is a 6-condition evaluation that lets leadership see, for each AI use case in the business, whether the conditions are in place for AI to actually perform. The premise is simple. AI does not produce value because a business adopts it quickly. It produces value when the business has built the conditions that let AI operate reliably. Those conditions are not theoretical. They are 6 specific, measurable areas where AI either has what it needs to perform or it does not. Let me walk you through all 6. Condition 1. Workflow clarity. The first condition asks whether the workflow you are putting AI on top of is clear, documented, and stable enough for AI to support. Most AI failures Stephen sees are not AI failures. They are workflow failures that AI made bigger. If a process is informal, undocumented, inconsistently followed, or dependent on one employee's memory, putting AI on top of it does not fix the weakness, it multiplies it. Condition 2. Data reliability. The second condition asks whether the data the AI is relying on can be trusted. This sounds technical, and Stephen makes it operational. There are 6 properties that determine whether data is reliable enough for AI: accuracy, completeness, consistency, currency, accessibility, and ownership. The data reliability checklist in the book lets a leadership team grade their data against all 6 properties in under an hour. Condition 3. People readiness. The third condition asks what your employees are actually doing with AI, not what leadership thinks they are doing, what they are actually doing. Inside most businesses, AI adoption has happened informally and unevenly. Some employees use the approved tools, some use personal accounts, some use tools that were retired 6 months ago because nobody told them to stop. Some bypass the AI entirely because they do not trust the output. Condition 4. Leadership accountability. The fourth condition asks who owns the output AI produces, not who runs the tool. Who is accountable when the output goes wrong? This is the condition most leadership teams underestimate. Because AI output looks polished, looks confident, looks done. It often is not. When AI produces a flawed customer email, a flawed financial summary, a flawed contract analysis, somebody has to own that output, and somebody has to have caught it before it left the building. Condition 5. Performance measurement. The fifth condition asks whether AI is producing measurable business results or whether it is generating visible activity that looks like performance. This is where the book introduces the Net Efficiency Yield Ratio, or NEYR. It is a formula simple enough to run on a single page. net completed output value divided by total labor hours across generation, review, correction, and release. If NEYR is rising over time, AI is producing real value. Condition 6, operational friction. The sixth condition asks where AI is creating hidden drag. Friction is the work the AI quietly creates. The correction work, when employees have to fix AI output before it can be used. The verification work, when employees do not trust the output and check it manually. The reformatting work, when AI produces something in the wrong shape and a person has to rework it. None of that friction shows up in usage dashboards. It is invisible to leadership unless they go looking. 6 conditions, each scored 1 to 5, give you a total readiness score between 6 and 30. That score is the centerpiece of the framework. Stephen calls it the Master AI Readiness Scorecard. It is the single page that turns 6 diagnostic conversations into 1 executive decision. Here is how the scoring breaks down. 6 conditions, each scored 1 to 5, give you a total readiness score between 6 and 30. That score is the centerpiece of the framework. Stephen calls it the Master AI Readiness Scorecard. It is the single page that turns 6 diagnostic conversations into 1 executive decision. Here is how the scoring breaks down. A total score of 6 to 12 says the business is not ready. The foundation is too weak. The right move is to pause and repair. A score of 13 to 20 says the business has promise, but is structurally incomplete. The right move is to refine. A score of 21 to 26 says the business is ready for controlled expansion. And a score of 27 to 30 says the business is genuinely ready. Expand with continued monitoring. Let me make this concrete with 2 case examples. Brightline Logistics is a regional freight and warehousing company, about 300 employees. The leadership team had rolled out AI across customer service, dispatch optimization, and invoice processing. When Stephen's team arrived, the view was that it was going well. Adoption was strong. Then they ran the assessment. Customer service scored a 16, refine. Dispatch scored a 17, refine. Invoice processing scored an 11, pause. The second case is Carter Wealth Advisors, a boutique financial advisory firm, about 70 employees. Carter approached AI the way Brightline had not. Leadership stood up the readiness assessment before any AI tool went into operational use. Every proposed use case had to score through the 6 conditions before procurement was authorized. By month 9, Carter had 3 high-value use cases producing measurable productivity gains. NEYR on both was rising. The book closes the framework with an operational sequence. The 90-day AI Readiness Roadmap. Days 1 through 30 are for baseline and workflow cleanup. The objective is visibility. Days 31 through 60 are for data reliability and people readiness. The objective is operating control. Days 61 through 90 are for performance validation and expansion decisions. The objective is evidence-based action. 90 days is not the end of the discipline. It is the first cycle. I want to be honest with you about something before we close. There are a lot of AI books on the market. This is a management book. It treats AI the way a serious business already treats finance, hiring, vendor risk, and compliance. The goal is not to slow your adoption of AI. It is to make sure adoption produces results you can defend and outcomes you can measure. One thing this book will not do is recommend specific tools. The framework is tool agnostic. Let me leave you with a few things to take with you. First, adoption is not performance. Second, the cost of not measuring is not zero. Every month a use case runs unmeasured. The rework and correction debt compound quietly. Third, the fix is not technical. What you need is the management discipline you already bring to finance, hiring, and compliance, and a framework built specifically to apply that discipline to AI. If you are ready to get serious about how AI operates inside your business, visit srjconsultingservices.com to book a free consultation. The full framework is published in Stephen's book, The AI Readiness and Performance Assessment, available on Amazon. Subscribe for more content on running AI as a managed business function. Adoption is not performance. The businesses that learn the difference will win the decade. I am Elizabeth. Thank you for watching.